Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another D. Elliott Fitness live stream. Thank you for tuning in this evening, doing a late stream this time around. Been a minute, had to get some things taken care of, but now I can get back on and do what I've been doing, keeping a steady routine, a steady rotation of doing live streams once again. Has some stuff going on, but we're gonna take care of that and keep it moving. Not supposed to let it hold you back, so keep moving forward. But today we have a show. We're gonna have a video that we're gonna go over that's gonna be resulting or talking about the higher and the lower self. Basically, how to transmute your lower self, use it to your benefit, and how to basically raise the Christ oil and use semen retention to your advantage. That's basically what it is in a nutshell, but it goes into a very detailed and what shall I say, great description and good visuals on how they break it down. And this is going to be from what is these people name? I forget. It is Revival of Wisdom. I've done a video with this one with them before, but this is a new one, and this one's going to be a really good one. It's kind of long, but we're going to go through it. I haven't seen the whole thing, so kind of can go through it and talk and speak on what he's referring to and things like that. But this one is a really good one. I believe is going to give you a really, really, really good understanding and how everything works out and how the body processes things and the things you're supposed to do and how to transmute and how to understand how the body works when you're on this journey. So let's not take too much time, but in the meantime, while you're here, go ahead and hit that like button that you see right over there. Do me that favor, get this algorithm going, get this word out, and let people hear and understand that what's going on and how to move in a different way instead of just being external to be an internal movement as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. It's going to be very interesting. And yeah, let's stop talking and let's get straight into it. So let's go. One second, before we even start doing that right now, let me go ahead and fix some things. But while I'm fixing this, uh, go ahead and hit the like button. Do me a favor. That'll be greatly appreciated to get everything going, get everything heard, and get this algorithm going so people can hear this message. It's very, very important that you must hear this because the way things are going in this world, I mean, it's the only thing that you need to know about. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get back into this video. There we go.
How are we all doing, people? It's Revival of Wisdom from the Wisdom Academy. Today, we're going to be breaking down God, consciousness, and the higher and the lower self, and how to overcome the lower self. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that you are the invisible intelligence within the brain, within the body. This invisible intelligence is known as the mind. But you are not the mind. You are the observer of the mind, which is the soul, the invisible entity. The mind is your intellect, your intelligence. Now, the mind is, it's hard to put this in words, but the mind is something that gives you the ability to explore the universe. And this inner self is the I am. It's the quiet, the inner self, the voice you see in you hear in your head. This is why within spells high twin, inside, internal. The I is also the number one, which is one line. Because the one and only, is the inner self, which is the I am. This is why you say, my name is Harry. You are not Harry, you are the I, the inner self, the intelligence. Okay, this is why Jesus in French is I am. You look with the two eyes and you see with the inner eye, I and I, the same thing. Okay, because the I inside is what gives you the perception of what you're looking at. So when someone's trying to explain something and then you catch on saying, I see now, it's because you're seeing with your inner eye, the one that gives you perception, gives you intelligence, gives you the ability to understand things. This is the internal eye, the invisible self, which the physical body is nowhere near as complicated as this inner self. It's in infinite potential, infinite potential. God, God, generator, operator, destroyer, soul, mind, and body. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son.
Hmm.
They're all the reason why you see God is always a triad is because it represents yourself. Your invisible intelligence is God. Me and you are the same invisible intelligence. We are the invisible intelligence experiencing the program being ran by the central nervous system and the brain. I always say this in my videos, but I have to, in order for you to understand the things that I'm going to say later on in the video, you need to understand this concept is that you are the consciousness experiencing the nervous system, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is you here. You would be in this invisible intelligence right here in the center of the brain. Now, this is why the ancient Christians show God is in the brain. This is the brain stem. This is the brain. This is also the brain stem and the brain. The brain stem and the brain. It's all depictions of the brain because the brain's the computer, the electrical, electromagnetic computer.
My mic was muted. Oh man, sorry. But basically, what I was saying was the brainstem. The brainstem, how the different pictures are all depicted, and how they all show different variations of the brainstem. It's really interesting how they show that because it shows you that the process is internal. It's an internal process that one must go through and one must do. And going on a monk mode for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and understanding delayed gratification and how it works. Oh, I got some in my eye. Understanding delayed gratification and how it works to understand that obstacles are going to come in your way. But regardless of the obstacles, look at those as like mile markers, like clues, like hints. Because if you don't have any obstacles, then there's nothing hindering you from progress. But if you got obstacles, something's trying to stop you from progressing. So like denying your flesh, get rid of vices, no drinking, no smoking, having a wake up time, uh, a balanced diet, good exercise, meditation, prayer, and a plan and a goal, and you're gonna pursue towards that, and you're gonna understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, and you're going to accomplish this task. And while you're accomplishing this task, you're able to tap into the inner self, and the inner you at the end of the day is God. You are a God, but you have to operate as a God via your conduct, you know. And like the past videos that I've done that have talked about semen retention, they spoke about like if you're running around here letting off your seed, because your seed is the most vital thing. As a man, your seed is the most vital thing, and you have to harness that. And if you can defeat your lower self, which is like not fall victim to lust, to fornication, and pornography, if you can defeat that lower self and use that red serpent, because there's two serpents. There's a, I guess you could say, a good one and a bad one. And the bad one is the one that's always trying to pull you down. And you need to use that. You need to defeat that lower chakra, or excuse me, that bad snake within yourself. And once you use it, you can, once you defeat it, you can control it and use it to basically protect and provide for you. And then it becomes beneficial towards you instead of a hindrance. And then it's showing that you are in control of all this if you can defeat yourself and defeat your lower self and raise up and transmute the energy into your higher self. But let's continue.
which decodes the demands created by the invisible intelligence, the I, the inner self, you, your true self. The person move it when you if you observe what someone moving, this is gonna sound, but if you observe someone walking, it's not the body. The body is moving, but the thing telling it to move is the invisible intelligence. Before you kick a football, a decision is made within your invisible intelligence, your mind. And this consciousness, this invisible intelligence, is either stuck between the lower self and the higher self. Okay? When the invisible intelligence, meaning the true self, identifies itself with the physical body, it will trap its mind within physicality.
Mm-hmm.
This consciousness that we have is either operating in the lower self or the higher self. It's either feeding the material body or it's feeding the spirit.
See.
Okay? But because we are physical and spiritual, we need to be even. We don't want to be meditating all day long because we do have a physical body as well whilst we are here. We are playing a game in physical matter. Okay? Now, the reason that you incarnated here is to learn a lesson because the mind can manifest anything it wants within the astral planes, within the world of imagination. It can manifest anything it likes, but it incarnates into matter, into this game, so we can understand labor, because anything in matter you have to labor to manifest. But in the astral, you can manifest at the click of a finger. You come here to learn the knowledge of good and evil. And your consciousness, I came out a bit off topic there, but your consciousness is experiencing the lower or higher self. The lower self is manifested in the lower parts of the body: sex, food, and power, the lower three energy centers. These centers are like mini brains. You are literally thinking with these centers. And when your mind is stuck within these lower centers, you'll think. Have you ever heard the term of thinking with your penis or thinking with your, you know what, as a man?
Yeah.
Even females, maybe. But mainly, this is a boy saying, you're thinking with your penis. This is a truth. It's truth in plain sight. You think with these energy centers. When you're living off the lower three centers, all you care about is sex, food, and power, eating, sleeping, and greed. Power's kind of like greed. Now, when we move up to the higher parts of the body, when we live our life within the higher parts of the body, this is considered heaven: love, expression, intuition, and wisdom.
And what he's talking about right there with the lower part, the sex, food, and power, that's a lot of the stuff that you see going on now today. Everybody's operating on a low vibration, a low frequency. They're operating at the lower half of their potential, and they're becoming victims of their own desires, sex, food, and pleasure. Because you see, sex is just, we're in a hedonistic society where sex is everywhere. It's rampant. You got the simps out here. You got the women doing all sorts of, all over social media showing their bodies. And then, the food, eat whatever you want, body positivity and all that stuff. And then the power could be what comes with that. And that goes both ways. The power that the women have with the attention using empowerment as far as like sex wise, and then the power that some men get. If you get leverage and options and you're able to express your power, you can express your power but still operate in a low frequency. And it's rampant and it's almost undeniable, and you have to learn how to break past that. And usually the best way to do that is to hit a monk mode for 6 months to a year, 2 or 3 years, until you get out of that rut and get out of survival mode. You don't want to be in survival mode, and that's what everybody seems to be in. You're stuck in survival mode, this repetitive cycle, trying to find a way out, find a way to survive, finding a way to just make it. and you don't want to be in that mind frame, because you're like living in your own personal hell, and you're in a low frequency and a low vibration, and you got to find a way to fight that and defeat that. But it's an internal process that comes with that, and it takes time, and it's a delayed gratification process. It's not going to be easy, but that's the point. Continue.
This is what we need to be aiming to do, moving out of the lower half of the body and living our life within the higher self, the higher parts of the body, thinking with the higher energy centers, thinking with love, expression, intuition, and wisdom, spreading love, expression, intuition, and wisdom to others. Heaven is even. This is why Jesus is pointing at the heart chakra, always pointing at the heart. Earth rearranged his heart because in Earth you're manifested as a physical being. You're in the heart, good and bad. You need to be balanced between the good and bad. Because love can be a demon too. That's a whole nother video, but love can be a demon.
Hmm.
Now the seven chakras are known as the seven seals in the Bible. When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in the heaven for about half an hour. This is a verse from the Bible. The Lamb is Aries, which is the higher brain, the cerebrum, the cerebram, Ram, Aries. Because when the Ram opens the seven seals, you enter the kingdom of heaven. Because these chakras seal your invisible intelligence, they seal your true self. You are behind these seven seals, your true invisible self, your true consciousness. Because behind these seven seals, you do not think about anything materialistic. Your intelligence is not material. It's not physical. It's not from the physical world. It does not desire the physical world. The body is the beast. The body's the animal, the lower self, which can corrupt our intelligence. It can corrupt the intelligence. Okay? Now, we need to balance these chakras so that we gain a deeper connection between this intelligence and the brain. Because when there's a strong connection between the brain and the intelligence, your body and the intelligence, you have a strong connection. Therefore, you can manifest what the intelligence is saying at all times. Meaning,
And a lot of this comes with walking in alignment. The alignment, you have to align yourself with positive thoughts all day long, nonstop. You have to just have a positive outlook, almost like how, I guess, like optimistic in a way, but not exactly optimistic, but just dominantly positive. Because, like, talking about obstacles that are going to come in your way when you're pursuing and you're going in the right direction, be positive. Just know that whatever obstacle comes in the way, you've already defeated it. You've already won. Nothing but good can come from it, you know? And the good thing that came from it is the fact that the obstacle showed up. That was the clue and the hint that you needed, that you're going in the right direction. And whatever obstacle it is, you're going to overcome it. You're going to defeat it. The obstacle is at a loss. Have that positive thought, positive thinking, nothing negative. Nothing can stop you because you're unstoppable. There's nothing impossible for you. Nothing can break you. Nothing, don't allow anything to break you because nothing can break you. Just know that everything that you think, all your thoughts need to be aligned. No, try to control your mind and not have any like sexual thoughts or negative thoughts or angry thoughts or anything negative. Just keep it all positive and pursue forward to a new life, to a new living, to a new existence. Renew the mind, renew the body, renew everything about yourself, and push forward and do the things that you normally don't do. That's why I always say get rid of your vices. When you get rid of your vices, whether you drink, smoke, use sex as a vice, bad diet, if you remove those things and switch up your diet, add exercise, don't drink, don't smoke, stop having sex for a while, just chill out. Doing these things is going to completely change you because you're doing what you're not used to do. So you're actually living in a different manner. You're becoming a new human being, a different person. And if you can stay away from abstain from watching porn and different things like that, then your mind, you're going to have a completely renewing of the mind because it's not normally what you do. You were defined by your bad habits and your bad vices. Now you change those bad habits and bad vices to the polar opposite. You were watching porn, but now you're not. You were drinking, now you're not. You were smoking, now you're not. You didn't exercise, now you do. You ate crap, but now you eat more whole foods. Nothing but good can come out of that. And now, if you understand what it is that you're doing, not just bettering yourself, but personal development, understanding that there's a deeper realm that you could tap into mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, then you can apply this towards that and springboard yourself to a whole different level in life that you just couldn't imagine.
When, for example, your higher self, this is intelligence, the higher intelligence is always speaking to you. It's always guiding you. It's always telling you the right thing to do. It's you can feel it when you're doing something wrong. You can feel that you're doing something wrong because this higher self, this intelligence knows what it needs to do here. And when there's no connection between the body and this our intelligence, our true self, when we strip away, when you close your eyes for long periods of time, you will figure out you are this invisible, infinite, creative being. There's no words that I can't describe what it is, but it's the the voice inside of your head that you can feel when you close your eyes.
And what he's speaking on is prayer and meditation. Go somewhere, find a nice quiet time, a quiet place where you can just sit down, be still, be quiet, no sound, no noise, don't move, close your eyes and breathe deep. And whatever thoughts come into your head, block them out. Clear your mind. Think of nothing. Think of just the present moment of where you're at and what you're doing, and then remove all thoughts from your head, good and bad. Just sit still with yourself. Just sit completely still with yourself and control thoughts. Control the thoughts that come into your head, and you'll be amazed with how your mind keeps racing. Quiet the quiet the mind. Calm the mind down. Quiet the mind. Remove thoughts. Don't have any thoughts. Sit still in a quiet place. Don't move. Deep breaths, and you'll be amazed about what you can actually feel and tap into if you apply the other elements that allow the vessel to be used as a vessel.
You are this being inside of the heaven, because this is heaven, this intelligence. And when there's a strong connection between the body, you can manifest everything it's saying. When everything is balanced, when you're no longer thinking with the lower centers, when they're all balanced, you're not thinking in particular with every center, you balance them all, you can manifest everything it says. Your body will act out what the intelligence is always saying. This is God in the brain, the intelligence, trying to touch Adam, representing the lower self. This is why they're not touching. Notice how Adam is resting, but the intelligence is always reaching out, stretching, symbolizing metaphorically saying it's guiding. I'm always reaching out. The intelligence, your intelligence is always guiding you. It's always reaching out to you. But Adam is ignorant of it. The lower self is ignorant of it. And that's why he's so relaxed and God is so stretching out. Because at our highest self, that when you think of when you want to better your life, that highest true version of yourself is God. When you're manifesting this, your highest self, this is God. Your truest form, your most perfect form, that is God. Your highest version of yourself, that is God. Emotions. Emotions are not what you've been taught. Emotions are not something that should be reactive, okay? You should not let the emotion be you, except that you should experience them instead of letting them become you. You need to understand there's a separation in our consciousness. You have the soul, which is the person who is observing your thoughts. When you think a thought, who's the one observing that thought? The soul, you, the I am, the I, the inner self, the one and only. And inside of every single body inside of me, inside of you watching this video, there is this same intelligence that is inside of me, inside of you, and it's the exact same intelligence experiencing a different body. And this is what we mean by the universe is mental. We all experience, we are all sharing the same ball of consciousness in a different body. The animals, the fish, the cells, all expressing this one consciousness. Me and you are the same. This is why the golden rule is treat others like others should be treated, because I am you and you are me in a different body. Now, going back, you need to identify that there's different levels of consciousness: soul, mind, emotion, and body. Okay? Your emotions are on a separate layer than the body, the mind, and the soul. So when you identify there's a difference between all of these, you do not let them become you. You do not let your mind rule you, because your mind can be corrupted.
Yeah.
Your soul is the one that is pure good, pure love, but your mind can be corrupted. Okay? Your emotions can be corrupted. The body can be corrupted, but the soul can never be corrupted, only layered on top. You can only throw piles of programs within the subconscious, layering the soul down, but deep down inside of every single one of you, there is a loving being. Because the love comes from the heart. Love is the universal emotion, expression. Now, your thoughts can become bondage, your emotions can become bondage. Now, what do I mean by bondage? By conquering the lower self, we need to conquer our own mind, because the mind is what's manifesting the lower self. When you're thinking with the lower half of the body, when you're becoming your emotions, you need to experience the emotion, not
That's what usually whenever you're sitting down and you're praying and meditating, you have to understand that prayer is when you're talking, meditating when you're listening. And when you're dealing with these vices, and you feel that urge kicking in for whatever vice that you're trying to kick. It's a smoke, drink, pills, sex, whatever it is. Sit in it. Sit in it. Go somewhere and sit in it. And what I mean by that is, like, go into prayer and meditation. Just sit down somewhere, close your eyes, take deep breaths, be somewhere where you're not bothered. Go sit in a car, somewhere. Go sit in it. Sit in it, face it, feel it. Experience what you're feeling. Understand what's happening. Understand what's going on. Because something is trying to dictate your action from within. There's an urge kicking, you know. There's an urge coming through your body, and you want to act on it. But maybe you don't want to act on it, and you're trying not to relapse. You got to sit in it. You have to literally sit in it. Sit down and close your eyes. Take deep breaths. Pray, meditate, but sit in the issue. Sit in the vice. Don't run from it. Sit in your problems. And that's the only way you can get through it. And you'll feel a completely different way, because you're actually sober minded, clear minded, and you're digging in to this problem that you can feel from down here trying to rise up and control you. Don't allow it. Understand what's going on. Control that. Control that when you feel it here in your stomach and your gut trying to make you get up and move and do something that you shouldn't be doing or don't want to do, or something you're trying to kick. So always sit in it and understand it, and attack it and deal with it.
become the emotion. Do not let the emotion become you. Do not let your thoughts become you, because your thoughts are tools that you can manifest. Your thoughts are the idea. Your emotion is the energy that you can use to manifest that thought. Your emotion is energy in motion, emotion. You use emotion to manifest, to feel as if you already have the thought. Therefore, you become that vibration. Therefore, Your emotions are actually a creational force that is given to you to manifest things because you're a human manifester.
Yeah.
You're here to manifest things. You're a creator. You are a god. Your inner self, your intelligence, your I am, the one and only inside of you, the inner self, the quiet one, the one that's deep, deep down, the invisible intelligence is a creating. It's creating things all the time. All the time.
And that's what you're doing whenever you're when you're kicking your vices and you're turning your bad habits into sobriety and good habits. You're creating a new life. You're creating a new walk of life for yourself. You may not realize it, but a new life of sobriety, a new life of exercise, a new life of healthy diet, a new life of prayer and meditation, which you got to take time and put this into a schedule, and you have to fit it in. And whether it's your morning, evening, however your day is structured, you're creating a life for yourself. You are creating this life for yourself. You have to understand that you are creating it. You're making a certain life for yourself. You're making a life of, I'm going to do this for the delayed gratification betterment of myself in the future. So you're creating a path for yourself. And as you go along this path, don't worry about what the next step comes from. Just take one step, put one foot in front of the other. And just keep doing that, one foot in front of the other. And you'll be amazed by where it takes you, depending on what your plan is. If you're trying to, you know, if part of your plan is a plan to become better in your job or be a better entrepreneur or something like that, you will see the gain that you have if you always look in increments of 6 months to a year and just look back, or 3 months even. You can just look back each time and just be like, man, I started here and now I'm here. I started here and now I'm here. I started here and now I'm here. And you can see the progression that's being made. But let's keep going.
Speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. This is the astronauts. They're Freemasons, but they understand this because thinking, seeing, and hearing can corrupt your mind.
Hmm.
And when you have a corrupted mind, you'll have a corrupted subconscious. The subconscious will manifest into the body because 90% of your behavior comes from the subconscious mind. So you got to speak, see, and hear no evil. But sin, what is a sin? To overcome our lower self, to overcome our lower self, the seven deadly sins are not something that goes against an external God. A sin is something that goes against your inner guide.
See? Lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth, laziness. Don't be lazy. You got to put it into action. You got to put it in action. You got to be in action. You got to be in motion. You got to be doing something at all times. Pride, greed. You have to be able to defeat these things. Even when you, even though at times you feel like, excuse me, even though at times you feel like you sometimes you get weary, you get tired, because you may get tired because you're going down a new path. And it's not just the external path that you're taking, it's internal. So sometimes you might feel like you might be spiritually weak, and that's a different weakness that you never had before. I don't understand it. But at the same time, that discipline of, callousing your brain and teaching yourself to do things when you don't want to do it, you know, just it's no different than you going to work. You will go to work because you don't want to get fired because you want to get the check to pay your bills. You can have that same ideology and do it to yourself. Do it for yourself. The inner you, the better you, and apply that same mindset, that same ideology. It'll take you way further than you'll ever imagine. Pay attention to the signs, because there will be signs that'll be there that'll show you along the way as you're going, and get a good understanding of how it plays out if you sit down and tackle all of these seven deadly sins as well. But let's keep going.
Your inner conscience, the inner self that's always speaking to you. It's always
I don't know if you can see at the top right, it says these can be overcome with seven corresponding virtues of, and it starts with number one. So out of pride, The corresponding virtue of pride would be humility. The corresponding virtue of greed would be charity. And then for chastity, it would be lust. Or excuse me, for lust, it would be chastity. For envy, it would be gratitude. For gluttony, it would be temperance. For wrath, it would be patience. And for sloth, it'll be diligence. It's telling you like this is how you can actually counter each and every single one of these. Give more. Be grateful. Be humble. Be chaste. Be temperance. If you're gonna eat whole foods and don't overindulge. Don't don't get full. I know you hear like a lot of rich people talk about that. They don't get full. Have patience and be diligent. Work, 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 and put forth the effort. Let's go on.
It's telling you the right thing to do. A sin is something that goes against this inner guide. And this is why you can feel something where you can feel you're doing something wrong. Because the inner guide is speaking constantly. And when you commit these 7 deadly sins, which are 7 internal states which keep your invisible intelligence bound to your physical body. Because evil, right? Evil love bondage. This is why they stay in this realm and they control this realm because they love the bondage of the body.
That is true. I'll give him that one. Evil is bondage. When you start going on this path, and for example, semen retention, let's say you got the exercise down, you got the diet, you got the plan, you got all that stuff down, but yet you still are releasing the seed. If you can sit down and like time your days, like you went 20 days, 30 days, you'll feel this extra level of energy, confidence within yourself. And once you expel that energy, it is like a feeling of regret, like you just gave away your talent. It's weird to explain. You only know if you try it, but he's right. It is like bondage because sin comes from within, and you're bonding yourself to these sins, and you can release yourself from these sins. It's all up to you. It's the willpower that you have within yourself to conquer the inner self in order to transmute to the higher self. Let's keep going.
They like matter. They want to stay in matter for eternal life. They don't want to ascend back into the heavenly realms where you do not have a physical body. You can explore the universe within the astral planes. They stay bounded to the body, bounded to the 3D construct of the physical world. They have greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth, pride. They want all of this. And if you want that, that's okay. But deep, deep down, you don't want that because your soul is always telling you the right thing to do. Your soul knows what to do to get out of here. It needs to detach from the external world, detach from all of these 7 internal states which bound you to your lower self, your lower centers. That's what a sin is. You have a left and right brain. The left brain is always analytic. The right brain is metaphorical. So the right brain is producing a holistic view of reality. Now, what do I mean? And not view, perception. When you see, because your eyes are parts of the brain, so when you look at something and you look, that image is produced in the back of the brain in the visual cortex. And then produces the right brain produces a perception, a holistic, it breaks down what you're seeing into a holistic image, a holistic perception. So, for example, if you're in a woods, the right brain sees the whole woods as one big woods. The left brain is breaking that perception down into individual trees, branches, and leaves. So the left brain's to do with duality, the right brain's to do with wholeness, unified. The left brain.
It sounds like he's explaining micro and macro. You know, it's like the left side breaks it down into like a microcosm, and the right brain sees it as a macrocosm. Interesting.
Brain's dualistic, analytic. This is necessary so that we can pick things up and manipulate them and and like break things down. We need the left brain, we need the right brain. I'm not saying any of them's bad, but the left brain, sinister in Latin, means left. Because when you're left brained, you see everything in dualistic. You see everything is dual, when everything's actually one. We need to be focusing and strengthening our right hemisphere. I'm not saying sit in the right hemisphere all the time, but we need to be strengthening our hemisphere. And this is why left is sin and right is right. Because when you focus on the right hemisphere, you see the holistic perception of creation. The right hemisphere sees humanity as one unified consciousness. The left hemisphere sees everyone as individual persons and egos. Because the left hemisphere.
And we're seeing a lot of that right now. Like the world is not looking at the big picture. There's very few people who are looking at the world as a big picture. Instead of being selfish, like on the left side of thinking, nobody's seeing the big picture. Everybody is being selfish. Everybody is doing things in a manner where they can only see the small picture, you know, and the small picture is me, 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 I. That's the small picture. But the big picture is to understand that basically the big picture is the same concept of dropping your vices and putting together, you know, the diet, the exercise, the prayer, the meditation. When you put all that together, that's like right brain thinking, in my opinion, because you're looking at all these small little things that you can do to make a whole situation transform and transmute and change yourself into something greater, as opposed to looking at it from a perspective of like, I don't want to do that and I don't want to do that. It's not, you're not you're not just doing that for that reason. You're doing that because it also goes along and correlates with these other 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that you need to do to put together and combine them into a whole. Let's continue.
Is dualistic. And this is why the Bible says, cast the net onto the right side of the ship and ye shall find. John 21:6. What does that mean? Cast your energy, cast your perception into the right hemisphere of the brain, and ye shall find unified consciousness. You shall find your higher self, the one and only. If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Wow, powerful. What does this mean? Seek the things that are above, where the Christ is seated at the right hand of God. God is your consciousness, your invisible intelligence between the two hemispheres. The right hand of God is the right hemisphere. Seek the things that are above the heart. Love, intuition, expression, and wisdom. Seek the things that are above the heart, the higher self, the higher part of the body. Because when you seek the things of love, expression, intuition, and wisdom, you create a strong aura. You attract the same frequency.
Hmm.
And this frequency is heaven, God. This is the Sumerian. This is the Sumerian artwork showing the lamb. This is a step symbolizing stepping upwards, raising up. He's stepping over the lamb up to the bird. His hand is going to the bird. The lamb symbolizes the lower self. Okay?
Mm.
The bird with the wings is in the sky. It represents the higher self. This is why angels always have wings, because it represents the higher self in the sky. The lamb is a ground animal, symbolizing the lower self. He's stepping over the lamb to the bird, his higher self, his invisible intelligence. Horus and Set, Jesus and Satan. Look, Horus, has an evil brother, Set, just like Jesus and Satan. Horus is a
Well, they're
bird,
brothers.
higher self. Set is a ground animal, lower self, which is the devil and the angel on your shoulder. You see?
Hmm.
The right and the left hemisphere, the two wings. So the devil and angels always speaking to you. The higher and the lower self. It's the battle between the higher and the lower self, between the invisible intelligence and the physical body, because the body's the one that wants the sugar, it wants the pleasure, it wants the sex, it wants the porn, it wants all of the materialistic things, it wants the seven deadly things. Okay, it wants this. There's a battle between the higher and the lower self, your intelligence and the body. This is why you need to become balanced, so that there's a deep connection between the body and the invisible intelligence that I am. You need to master your mind with discipline, and you gain a connection between the brain, the body, and the intelligence. Resurrection, transmuting sexual energy. Okay, this is important. Res is
And that's where discipline is going to take you. Because right now, a lot of people are not disciplined enough. Because everybody wants instant gratification. They want that answer right now. They want it now because that's just the world we live in. Everything is now. Everything can happen quickly. I mean, transactions with money can happen fast. You go viral on one video and you get fame and attention or whatever the case may be. But in this case, it's speaking on. It's not gonna happen fast. It's a gradual delayed gratification over time. But not many will actually attain it because it takes such a montage of things that you put together. And you put these things together and you transmute diet, exercise, um, thoughts, actions, and words have to be in alignment, or thoughts, words, and actions have to be in alignment. They do. You have to align everything together, and then you have to resist your flesh, whether it's eating too much food and not eating the right foods, not eating processed foods, but eating whole foods and also retaining your seed and understanding what a seed drop date is and understanding that to eat a whole food diet for a certain amount of time, figure out what your seed drop date is, then abstain from eating, fast completely for 3 days, and then for the next 7 days after your 3 day fast, you can just go on like a heavy fruit diet. But understanding how all this gets put together and then how to transmute. But let them keep talking.
Resh, which is Hebrew. The early Hebrew Resh symbol is the head. This is the head. Resh, erection. Erection is a sexual stimulation. Resurrection is rise erection. You got to raise your sexual energy up the base from the spine to the head. This is the Christ, the Christos. There's a psychophysical psychophysical oil produced in the brain every month. Go and watch my other video on raising the chrism. Okay. And every month there's this fluid produced in the brain, which takes two trips because one's produced by the pituitary, one's produced by the pineal, magnetic female, magnetic and electric charge. And it takes two trips down the spine to the solar plexus, the bread of life in the Bible, or Bethlehem in the Bible,
Hmm.
because the River Jordan's your spine. Goes down to Bethlehem. It gets born in Bethlehem, just like Jesus. Because when this oil travels to the solar plexus, it creates the seed, the seed of life, and it feeds the body, all the central nervous system, all the cells. It regulates the blood, does all sorts of good things for the body. This oil. Now, when you save your sexual energy and you raise your resurrection, you awake the Christ, you raise it from the solar plexus or the sacrum bone up to the brain. You activate 100% of the brain, and this is the true resurrection of Christ. instead of wasting the energy and giving away your sexual fluids, because behind the fluids is the energy. So when you release that fluid, the energy is out there. You've released the energy.
And that makes a lot of sense. You know, as a man, you have sex and you release your energy. What do you end up doing? Eat food, take a nap, start yawning. You don't feel like getting up and running and going for a jog and lifting weights. It's the last thing on your mind. And it's something that's not what you feel like doing. You feel like relaxing. You know, if you still smoke, you go smoke you a cigarette or roll you a joint or something or whatever have you. But that's the energy source that we have is our seed. The seed is the source of energy. That's why in semen retention they always tell you, they say that you're gonna have like it's gonna be hard for you to sleep sometimes because you're gonna have this newfound energy within yourself that you might have a hard time going to sleep at night because this is just pulsing, it's radiating inside of you, and you're actually storing it up, you're building it up, and then it'll enhance your creativity, your confidence, and a bunch of other things that go with it as well. So what he says does check out, but let's keep going.
Your sexual energy is the most potent emotional force a human.
And also kind of like dogs too. Like you ever seen like a male dog? When there's a female dog in heat somewhere, he is not eating. He's not gonna eat. Like just the force, the drive, it's driving him with all his energy. He's like, I will not eat. I will abstain from eating until I can release this energy because he can't think straight. His mind's going crazy. He'll starve himself because he's aroused, and that's just the power. That's just to show you the power of the seed, the power of how strong it is. And if you can release it and make a baby, a completely human being, which from you create a completely different human, and that human ends up having fingers and spines and organs and heart and intestines and lungs, tongue, teeth, eyes, like all that you create come from you. One of the laws of nature is polarity. If you could do the polar opposite, how could you use that same energy, but instead of releasing it, using it the opposite way inside of you, using it in a different way, a internal way as versus a external way, and this is what he's referring to. But let's continue.
Could possibly feel. Same with any animal or anything. The sexual urge, the sexual emotion is the most powerful, potent emotion that you can feel. It takes over the whole body. When you feel sexually aroused, it takes over everything because it's so potent. And when you fight the serpent, when you fight the sexual energy, which is shown here in the Egyptians, the cat cutting off the head of the serpent, or Hercules fighting the serpent, or in the Greek mythology fighting the seven-headed dragon, the seven chakras. The serpent is your sexual energy because it symbolizes your kundalini. When you fight it and you transmute this energy instead of releasing it, instead of acting sexually on it, you can transmute the energy, transfer it from the solar plexus up to the brain. You can do this with other tasks. Instead of releasing it, instead of raising it from the solar plexus to the brain, you can use it for other things. So, for example, you want to think critically. You can use it for critical thinking. You can use it for going to do exercise. You can transmute sexual energy into anything, but you can do this. You can raise the sexual energy, and you can use this energy to push the cerebrospinal fluid from the solar plexus up through the spine, up the 33 vertebrae to the brain, and it'll activate 100% of the brain. And this is the resurrection of Christ. Jesus was never dead. Jesus was never rose from the dead. It symbolizes the Christ, Jesus Christ. Christ is Christos, which means oil in Greek. The resurrection of the Christ, the Christos, the oil. When it activates 100% of the brain when it's raised, and it can regulate all the systems, it can regulate all the blood, it can regenerate the body. And this is the true antichrist. They don't want us doing this process. The antichrist is not against Jesus. It's against the fluid in our body that makes us live hundreds and hundreds of years and makes us live as gods.
And with that being said, it makes complete sense why the world right now is extremely hedonistic, why it's full of sex. Because if it can get you to keep releasing the seed, you'll never find out who you are. Because remember, Jesus' last name is not Christ. He's Jesus of Nazareth. Christ was just a level that he obtained, the Christ consciousness. And it was trying to show you that you are capable of this too. That's what it's trying to tell you. You are able to hit this level of consciousness. It's not just him. You're able to do it as well, you know. And if you take this same ideology or the same understanding and put it across the board, they just showed a picture of it looked like a bobcat or a tiger that was cutting off a snake's head, and I think he said that was the Egyptian text. And we've even seen it before where you had Indian text from India. You've had um, text from just different cultures. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter what the culture was. When you look at it from an esoteric point of view, it all checked out the same. The method may look different, but the principles across the board were the same. They were all obtaining a higher level of consciousness. It didn't matter what your culture was. Now, when it comes to religion, there's a bickering back and forth. But when it comes to esoteric um, um, understanding of raising your consciousness, it's all the same. It doesn't change. It may look different, but the principles is the exact same. It doesn't matter what culture you go into. You have different people who obtain higher levels of consciousness. Now, as opposed to what they do with the conscious when they get there, that's a different story. But that's just what it is. Let's keep going. I'm done.
This is the true resurrection. And when you fight the serpent, you fight your sexual urges, your sexual emotion, the most strong emotion that you could ever feel. You can do this process. And this is the true secret of transmuting sexual energy. Because when you transmute the sexual energy, you can become a god. And this is why Hercules is fighting the serpent. Notice how the serpent is low. He's reaching down to it. It represents the lower self.
Hmm.
Because the lower self wants the lust. It desires sex. The body desires sex. There's a fight between the higher and the lower self. But when there's balance, there's even. Heaven is even. When there's evenness between these, this is the kingdom of heaven. This is when heaven is on earth. So at our highest levels of ourselves, the highest level of our intelligence, this is God. God is something that we manifest. We need to achieve Christ consciousness by battling the body. There is no battle outside of the physical body. It's an internal battle. Jesus and Satan have been externalized. Nothing exists outside of you, because I explained in the beginning how you are the consciousness experiencing the central nervous system. Therefore, there is nothing outside of you. It's all internal. Jesus and Satan have been externalized. Why? Because it's business.
Hmm.
The church is a business. It's all a business. They've they've created these figures to be historical when they're not historical. The Bible's not historical. It's all externalized. It's called exoteric when the truth is esoteric, internal teachings. So, anyways, people, balance the chakras, balance the two hemispheres of the brain, balance the conscious and the subconscious. Balance is perfect, the yin and yang. You are spiritual and physical. You live in day and night. You need to be balanced, oneness, seek oneness. And this is the true kingdom of heaven. And when we all realize that we are all the same intelligence, the same consciousness expressed in different bodies, when we all realize this, we all realize we're all one. Doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what race you are, where you're from, your nationality, because none of you are actually from here. None of you are from the physical world. You're manipulating the physical world through the physical body. You are the I am. If you, we all have a soul. Every single one of you has a soul. We all have souls. The reason why they say some people don't have souls is because they're trying to suppress your mind. They don't want you to know that you have a mind. That sounds crazy, I know. But a lot of people haven't realized that they have an infinite intelligence called a mind. And behind that mind, if you can observe your thoughts, the person who is observing the thoughts, you have a soul. Everyone has a soul. Don't listen to all these people saying some people don't have a soul, some people do. We all have a soul, every single one of us. So, anyway, you need to break the lower nature of yourself. At our highest levels, we are gods. Our intelligence, our universal intelligence, the I am, the intelligence that's inside of the brain, is God. Our minds are being corrupted within believing that you are the body, and the result of this is a society like today, because everyone thinks they're the body, and everyone's living in the lower nature of self, where everyone only cares about themselves. But when we realize we're all one big consciousness ball, we're all the same consciousness expressed in different bodies, there will be peace. So thank you all, people. If you do want to learn more, if you do want to read my book.
All right, and he's gonna go on and sell you a product at that point. But I mean, it basically checks out if you look at it from a certain perspective. I mean, out of all the animals that could have tempted Adam and Eve in the garden, had to be a snake. And then when he breaks this down to you, he talks about the two snakes, and there's a lower snake that's trying to basically control you, but you need to control it. You it's a lower your lower chakras are trying to conquer you, and how they showed it was sex. What was the sex, food, and power, and it came up to your stomach, from your stomach all down to your pelvis, and it almost not almost, but it even goes into context with like you're battling the belly of the beast. Like that's the hardest part that you got to get through. You're going through that battle. You're battling the belly of the beast, like you're in like the pits of hell, basically. But it's all within yourself. It's all within you. And out of all the different things that you could deal with, if you just pay attention and look, it's all within you. But I'm not gonna keep you, because I'm not gonna lie. It's a late evening show, and I'm actually a little tired right now. So with that being said, if you were watching, thank you for tuning in. And if you could do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. You're going to see it pop up right there, but don't hit that one. It's down here somewhere. But go ahead and hit that like button for me, get the algorithm going, and have other people come out and watch this and get this knowledge, because right now, more than ever, it's very paramount that people learn this and understand this. And it's not to teach you to make you go against church or anything, but it's to give you a different perspective and hold you accountable for your actions. Your heaven is here on earth. You don't have to die to just necessarily go see it. It's here for you. It's just that you need to see that it's inside of you and you can make it happen. And like you said, it's just business at the end of the day when you look at it from an exoteric point of view. And when you look at it from an esoteric point of view, it's basically discipline and accountability. But thank you for tuning in. If you sat here and watched and got something new out of it, thank you. Hit the like button, like I keep saying, like always. And we are going to be out of here until next time. And I'll try not to be so long on my future videos for taking so long. I just had some stuff going on. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. We are out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you and peace.